Hello and welcome back to the relationship between ADHD and learning disability. This is part 3 where I talk about learning disabilities. I'm going to give the same warning that I gave earlier. I'm reminding you, I'm giving you my analysis. Proper diagnosis is not from listening to me or this presentation. Proper diagnosis is through a properly trained and qualified professional. And now to explain what learning disability is. I have a short sentence which, in my opinion, though it might not be the medical definition, this short sentence completely distills the very essence and core of learning disability. And this is that sentence. A learning disabled student is a student who struggles in school for no apparent reason. I think that sentence explains it nicely, and I'll tell you why I said it. Some students we expect to have difficulty in schools. Of examples, students who are blind or deaf, I'm certain they will have lots more challenges. There are many physical disabilities, and depending what that physical disability is, obviously would affect to what impact it would have on the students in school. There are many intellectual disabilities. One example of one is Down syndrome. And depending on the intellectual disability, the way that students must be taught would have to be modified. But then there are other students who continually fall behind, such as in reading or writing or math, for no noticeable reason, until a trained professional investigates and uncovers what's hidden beneath the surface. And those are the LD students, the students with learning disabilities. Learning disability is not a specific condition. It's an umbrella term for many learning problems and challenges that all affect how the student learns. That is why we cannot point to any specific part of the brain, and each learning disability could stem from different factors, and that's also why learning disability will look different from person to person. But what they all share is they present difficulties in learning. I'm going to give some examples of learning disabilities. There's dyscalculia, and that's difficulty with numbers or arithmetic or understanding time or using money or estimating quantities. There's dysgraphia, that's difficulty in writing. It can have an effect on handwriting, spelling, grammar, or organizing thoughts on paper. Another learning disability is dyslexia, and that's reading difficulty. And it disrupts how the brain processes written language. It could include difficulty with spelling. It's often just sounding out or pronouncing when one is reading, or trouble learning names of letters. And of course, each person with dyslexia might be different. So I'm giving many of the common symptoms. And there's often trouble understanding to break a word down into its separate parts, like that cat is t put together. Some people with dyslexia won't be able to put that together, and often trouble rhyming. For example, you might say to a student with dyslexia, name me a word that rhymes with cat, and they'll say to you feline, because their mind hasn't been able to fully understand rhyming. They're not good with sounds. So suddenly the brain starts thinking about similar meanings. And of course, this will impact their learning tremendously. And even orientation. Here's one example. What am I holding? As far as I know, this is a pen. I'm going to rotate it. What is it? It's a pen. What's that? It's a pen. It's a pen. It's a pen. That's a pen. I'm going to hold it at this angle. It's a pen. Whatever angle I put this remains a pen. Okay, now what am I holding in my hand? That is a Q. And what is this then? That's a P. What is this? That's a letter B. And what is that? That is a letter D. But you see, earlier on, this was a pen, no matter how I held it. So now your mind knows that it's a specific object, and therefore it stays the same. Because this is a problem with orientation. And often, someone with dyslexia will be confused between B, D, P, and Q, because in their mind, it's the same object. It's different angles, just like that pen. So obviously, dyslexia will have a huge impact on the student at school. And I'm going to mention a few things that are often considered learning disability. One of them is called nonverbal learning disorder, and that itself is an umbrella term. And challenges can include understanding nonverbal cues, facial expression or tone of voice, spatial awareness, which means they might struggle to tie their shoelaces and therefore have difficulty understanding patterns or charts or maps, or difficulty breaking things into smaller steps. There's also language processing disorder, which is often considered a learning disability, and that's broken up into receptive language disorder. That's trouble understanding spoken language, not because of hearing problems, but because of the brain interpreting words and sentences, and sometimes difficulty following a conversation. And the other form is called expressive language disorder. That's difficult time expressing thoughts, or might have difficulty finding the right vocabulary or to form a sentence. And here's something else that's not always officially a learning disability, but it gives students very similar challenges, and that's called auditory processing disorder. And that's processing sounds, like trouble understanding spoken language, or understanding if someone's talking fast or in a noisy room, or knowing where the sound is coming from. And that person might take longer to respond to a question. And there's also visual processing disorder. And that's also not always considered officially a learning disability, but it certainly affects learning. And that relates to interpreting visual information, also judging distances and spatial relationships, and getting confused between similar shapes or objects, or understanding locations in space. And what auditory processing disorder and visual processing disorder have in common, they have nothing to do with eye damage or vision damage or damage to ears. They're neurological disorders, not sensory. They relate to brain processing. It's not what they're hearing or seeing. And who here wants a fun quiz? It sounds like I'm changing the topic in the middle of nowhere. Let's do a quiz. I'm going to give you all a fun quiz, but here's the rule. I expect you to give me the responses immediately, because these are very easy questions, okay, in this quiz. So ready? Are you ready? Shout out the answers. And remember, you're not allowed to think, because it's simple questions. Ready? Let's go. Here comes the quiz. Give me a food beginning with a letter P. Name me a city beginning with a letter R. Give me a famous person beginning with a letter W. Immediately, I'm going on to the next question, because there's no time to think. It's easy questions. Name me an animal beginning with a letter L. Next question. Give me a TV show beginning with a letter A. I'll even be charitable to you. I'll give you 5 full seconds for that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. Next question. Give me a female name beginning with a letter S. Quickly, quickly. Give me the name of a lake, a river, an ocean, or a sea beginning with a letter O. Ding, end of time. Time's up. There, I'm sure you got it all right. Those were easy questions. Yes, no? Actually, they were not difficult questions, but what made them difficult is that I didn't give you any time to think. I'm not sure how many of them you got right, but let's say we redid that quiz, but I gave you 30 seconds to think about it, or to be fair, I gave you 60 seconds to think with each of those questions. I have a feeling then you would have got them all correct, or at least most of them correct. You see, those particular questions that I just gave are not difficult questions, but you have to have time to think of it before you can respond. What made them difficult is that I insist that you have to respond immediately. What I just did brings to life what a regular question feels like for some learning disabled students. What would be a regular question for someone else, to an LD student, it's not that it's difficult, they just need time to think about it. I'll just give you an example. Let's say a teacher's teaching in class, let's say it's a history lesson. They're learning about the history of this town, and I'm just making up a name. If this matches anyone you know, it's coincidence. Let's say the LD student's name is Johnny. And after the history lesson, the teacher says to Johnny, Johnny, based on what I just taught, can you give me the name of the first mayor of this town? Okay, so Johnny, the LD student, now has to think, he has to process. Okay, name, mayor, not any just mayor, the first mayor, the name, the first mayor of this town. Okay, and as he's trying to connect the dots and put those concepts together, somebody else shouts out the answer before poor Johnny could respond. You see, now let's say that teacher now does it again. Well, it's all hypothetical, obviously I'm making it up, but now this teacher knows Johnny has learning disability. So now what he does after teaching about this town and the mayors, the best way he should do it is walk right up to Johnny, so Johnny knows the teacher's talking to him. All his teacher's body language and mannerisms should indicate that he's talking to Johnny and nobody else, and says out loud, Johnny, what's the name of the first mayor of this town? And then, now that he's made it clear that it's Johnny's turn to respond, he gives Johnny all the time he needs to think about it and put it all together. And most likely, Johnny will be able to answer that question. You see, my friends, the greatest gift that we can give to LD students in many times is not necessarily a different question. What the LD student needs is the gift of time. They need that extra time. Often, learning disability is not about how much intelligence, it's about delay and how the brain is processing language inputs. As I said earlier, learning disability does not come with visible signs, but for those people who have it, the challenges are very real. The more we learn about learning disability and the more we understand it, the more we can help lighten those with the challenges. We hope in ways that it truly matters. In part 4 of the series, I'm going to share my analysis on how learning disability and ADHD relate to each other. Thank you.